In grade school, I remember learning about the first woman who successfully drove across the United States and thinking it sounded insane to drive all the way across the country. If only little Lillian could see me now. Day 2 of our road trip to LA started as a mini exploration around Boulder. We slept in and grabbed some breakfast at Dry Storage, and because I love a good bookstore anywhere we travel, we visited the Boulder bookstore and Trident, which is a small indie bookshop slash cafe. As much as I wanted to keep exploring, it was 1 p.m. and we had to trek onto Utah. The first woman to trek across the US was a 22-year-old Alice Ramsey, accompanied by her 2 sisters-in-law and her friend. After receiving a Maxwell car in 1908 in place of an easily spooked horse, Alice drove over 6,000 miles around her hometown in New Jersey within the year. Later, she was encouraged by a representative of the Maxwell Briscoe Company to take on an all-expenses-paid cross-country road trip to prove that Maxwell cars could take anyone across America. Alice and her not-very car-savvy crew left New York City for San Francisco on June 9th, 1909. While they experienced a variety of car troubles, the first portion of their trip along paved highways sounded like a breeze compared to the roads they encountered as they continued west. Paved roads were not common. In fact, only about 150 of the 3,000 plus miles they traveled were paved. Thank goodness for the paved highways we have today. Now, I am not kidding when I tell you driving through Colorado and Utah was the most scenic drive I've ever experienced. After passing through dry hills, suddenly we were driving into snow-capped mountains. Thank you to my boyfriend for driving this portion so I could enjoy the views. I love you. We stopped in Silverthorne for gas and a snack, and I forgot being in the mountains is quite a pressure difference. We continued into western Colorado and eventually found ourselves on a 12.5-mile stretch through a canyon carved out by the Colorado River. Turns out this passageway through the Glenwood Canyon has been traversed since the 1880s before there were even stable roads. We took a bathroom break at one of the canyon's 4 rest stops and marveled at the roaring river and surrounding cliffs. According to the sign, this canyon road is the most celebrated section of the interstate highway system. I believe it. Alice and her team did not go through Colorado, but instead drove through southern Wyoming into Utah. We reached Utah about 2 hours later, and the roads and landscape were scarily empty. We drove beside scenic desert canyons and through some of the most stunning mountain passes. Due to a lack of road maps at the time, Alice's route was dictated by telegraph poles and blue books that listed landmarks to turn at. Her route took her through Salt Lake City, across Nevada to Reno, Sacramento, and she eventually completed her 3,800-mile trip in San Francisco after 59 days on August 7th. Her and her team were greeted by media, and their arrival was shared in major news publications throughout the country the following days. Alice drove across the country more than 30 times following this adventure, and she was later called the First Lady of Automotive Travel and was the first woman to be inducted into the Automotive Hall of Fame. Once the sun set on our second day, I took over the rest of the drive until we reached Cedar City 10 hours after we left Boulder. I cannot imagine completing this trip in 59 days. We were both exhausted after day 2, and despite having only 9-ish hours left to go, day 3 proved to be the most mentally exhausting. Stay tuned.